Okay, we are live, and hello, Kenneth. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so at any point, if you have problems seeing anything or hearing anything, definitely let me know. Alright, let me adjust the lighting a little bit, and we're gonna get started very soon. Alright, so the image that you see right there, that is a photo that I took from Cleum, Washington. So some of you might know that I took a little family getaway the past few days. I'm not actually the past few days, just the past 2 days. So I left on Friday and I spent a day there. It's a beautiful resort called Suncadia. So hopefully if you ever visit Washington, it's a very nice place to visit. Alright, so without further ado, I'll just start this painting. Now, this painting is going to be a little bit different from most of the painting that I've been working on. So we have the distant trees are actually a lot darker than the foreground. And most of the time we have the foreground element that's a little bit darker just to pull forward into viewer's eyes. But in this case, the foreground elements are a little bit the foreground element are actually lighter. The background, which is the evergreen tree, those are actually darker because we are getting a lot of shadows from the distant trees and the house and stuff. So we'll see if I'm able to interpret that in the painting. All right. So we have 12 people here. Say hi and tell us where you're coming from. And you guys feel free to talk to each other. Like, I want this experience to be like very casual, just kind of like a fun experience for all of us. And if you can hear me, definitely let me know. All right, so let me see. I think I'll raise the painting up just a little bit so I'm not painting against that. Sorry, bear with me for just a second. Whatever. Okay, I think I'll just keep it here. Alright, I think this will be fine. This will do. Okay, sorry. Alright. Okay, so I'll get started. Now the drawing is going to be very loose since there's just nature stuff, so just a bunch of trees and so I'll just kind of have the tree. Back here is the hill top, some of the trees in the background. Now the main thing I want to have is definitely this beautiful tree right here with a lot of yellow and some beautiful yellow glow in the sun. Right, just those beautiful fall colors. We have a lot of that. Okay, and we have the foreground, the straws, the dry grass, and the foreground here. Right, there's a no hiking sign. I'm not going to paint that. It would be really funny if I paint that. Okay, so now there's a tree on the side here. I'll probably use that as a foreground element. So it's very loose. These are just a bunch of trees. So you're gonna notice that I'm not going to paint everything too literal because they're all just organic shape. They're mostly just trees. So I have one tree here. Okay, so give just a little bit sense of a silhouette here. And there's a nice warm red tree back there. Kind of half is cut off in the shadow. So I think what's really nice about those trees are they're like a cast shadow cutting across them, which makes them very interesting to look at. So something here, here. All right, I'll take a look. All right. Okay, so everybody following me so far, or you guys already fall asleep or anything? I have 20 people watching. Feel free to speak, otherwise I'm not sure if you are here. And feel free to talk about any random stuff, like, what have you been doing this weekend? How's your weekend? How's the weather where you are right now? It's kind of cold here in Washington right now. It's getting cold. It's changing seasons, so while I'm enjoying the fall sceneries, there's definitely a lot colder, so need to be careful not to get sick, and it's a flu season as well. Hi, Robin. Central Wisconsin. I haven't visited there. There's an artist that's in Wisconsin that I used to like. Well, I still like him. I just not looking at his recent work a lot. It's called Daniel Gerhards. He's mainly paint in oil, but he has some very nice watercolor work as well. He lives in Wisconsin, and just like the subject he paints some nice, very beautiful snow scenery. I really like his work. All right. I think I draw enough trees. It's probably not that clear for you, which is fine, because this is mostly just for me to kind of get used to. The form and everything. Hi from Mauritius. Never been there. Actually, not familiar with that place. I apologize. Not the most well-known, knowledgeable guys around. Okay, so I'll load my brush with a good amount of water here. It's my big squirrel brush. And just squeezing some of the new paint here, so I'm gonna use them kind of sparingly. But definitely cobalt blue for my sky blue. Hi from Russia. One of the places I really want to visit as well. Okay, and there's a lot of people interested in watercoloring Russia too. I notice, which I think is wonderful. All right, so a nice blue here. But I think I'm not sure if I'm gonna do some cloud, but I think I might do a little bit of cloud here. Alright, so let me just clean my brush a little bit. I think I'll just start with some clean water. A little bit dirty water, that's fine. Okay, so to do a cloud, to do a sky with cloud, kind of do things in reverse. We need to leave the white for the cloud. For the rest of it, I'm just kind of randomly wet it. So that will be the sky color. A little bit of dirty color can kind of help me see where I wet it and where I did not. So I wetted a few areas, and I will just put some nice sky cobalt blue color in it, and just very freely side of my brush, and just do it all over like that. Okay. Hi, Chrissy. My good friend from Taiwan, which is also where I'm coming from 20 plus years ago. Alright, so sky. Let me actually see if I can deepen the sky color a little bit more here. Okay, this is still all pretty wet, so I can kind of come back and get some blue into it. But I also need to look at the shape of the cloud. This is not working that well for me, so let me get a little bit of water and soften this. And maybe I'll grab a little bit of this alizarin crimson, a little bit of a neutral color, and we'll just kind of... Okay. It's not big cumulus clouds, so I'm not going to paint a lot of shadows in the cloud, but I'll soften some of this. And there's just some waters. Soften some of the shape. Okay. I'll have that run out. Okay, look at this nice bead here. I'm gonna use that bead to continue the wash down, okay? The clouds are really just a very subtle break in the sky. Okay, so in this case, the clouds are mostly just for breaking the big blue shape of the sky. Okay, not a lot of... Okay, right, keep it nice and blue. Alright, let's continue it down. The background tree, we're just going to paint over them for now because they are dark. But as we come down, we got like... Well, let's start to make some interesting colors. Alright. So this is a part that I'm going to paint the light. What do I mean by that is I'm going to paint like the yellow trees and the nice fall red trees. What do I do for a living? Sorry, I forgot to answer that question. I'm a full-time artist. Although watercolor is not my full-time job. My day job is doing video game art. And I am mainly doing art for the background. That's my full-time job. But at night, when I'm outside work, I do watercolor. This is work that I love a lot. Okay, so just gonna be bold. Some nice saturated yellow. I want this to kind of glow. Just give it that nice glow in the sun feeling. Okay. And on the right here, we got a little bit of more reddish color. Let's make it hotter. Hi, Dave. Dave from North Carolina. I got a few friends in North Carolina. A few friends who work in Epic Game there. All right. Some nice yellow here, nice yellow. Nice. Beautiful yellows all over. Okay? Don't be afraid to give a little bit of color. This is just, I'm just painting the color of the light, okay? I'm not thinking about trees and stuff. Just light. And then as we can start to neutralize them a little bit as they come down. So I've been thinking how to approach this painting because it's definitely quite different from most of the other painting that I've done. And this is actually probably the first time that I really work this way, but we'll see how it works out, right? If it doesn't work out, I'll just remove this video and you guys will just pretend that you've never seen this. But again, we'll see how it turns out. In watercolor, you never really know. Okay. Alright, so everything is so warm, so I'm gonna add some cool color. Nice blue. So as you can see, this painting is going to be, I'm gonna have a lot of fun with colors. Hi from Malaysia. I have a student from Malaysia. Hi from Italy. Oh, I know you. I know you, Dan. Alright. I have a student from Malaysia called Pelly. And she has been awesome. Alright, so I'm looking at the reference and kind of see what color I can pick up intuitively. Alright, now we're kind of approaching the foreground here, and I do want to start mixing some of those hay, those dry grass colors. We want some nice golden brown. And I'm out of yellow ochre, so I'm using raw sienna. We'll see how it works out. I'm usually using raw sienna. I'm usually using yellow ochre, so I don't know how this will work out, but we'll see. We'll see about that. Raw sienna seems a little bit more intense, but I can just add a little bit of water. So here is our foreground grass. And a little bit cool color, a little touch of cool color to cool things off a little bit. There we go. Okay, some more yellow ochre. Okay. I'll add a little bit of alizarin crimson. I actually need to make it just a little bit more intense. I'm using a lot of water, but I want some more intense mixture here. And in a minute, I'll show you why. All right. So I'm filling the paper with all sorts of colors. Here we have it. Okay. All right. Let me see. Okay, I need something to kind of hold this in place for me. All right. Alright. To be honest, I have no idea what I'm doing right now, but let's continue. Alright, so we want those nice dry hay color. And still pretty wet, so let's see if we can kind of play around with it. Okay, I need darker mixtures, so I'm not gonna dig back into water, just add more paint here. A little bit of alizarin crimson. I want it to be a little bit red here. Okay, there we go. So with the tip of my brush, I'm just going to play with it a little bit. Okay, maybe a little bit cooler color as well. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I'm kind of just playing with it and hoping for the best. Okay, some water here. Some water from Turkey. Hi. Okay, just some water, and I will splash some water on it. Okay, so and those start to create some weird looking edges, and which is fine, which is something that I'm kind of intended it to do. See how it start to wash off some of the paint. Seeing those can help me to create those kind of dry grass texture in the sun. Alright, so let the watercolor do the work, and have faith in watercolor. Faith is always the thing that my mentor Joseph Zbukvic speak of. Believe in watercolor, believe in yourself, knowing that you can pull this off. Okay, let me rotate that just a little bit, having flowed back a little bit. Okay, a little here. Okay, very lightly, okay? I'm just using the tip of my brush. All I'm doing is dropping some pigment into the wet mixture. That's all. I'm not digging into it. Teresa, hi. Hi, Pelly. I was just talking about you because we have somebody from Malaysia. So, it was wonderful. Okay, so let's give it... Let's see if I can get a little bit of light back here. So, in most cases, those dry... Those cauliflower edges are no-no. Okay, you usually don't want them. But in this case... We got some nice hay bale and things like that. Not hay bale, just like dry grass and straws and stuff. So this can be a very good way. This can be a very good way to give that sort of textures. Since we're not painting in oil, we're not going to paint the light back. So I'm see if I can let the watercolor do its work. And I'll help by adding a little bit of spray. Yes, we are live, David. Now if you zoom in into that, yeah, look at it. Just enjoy that texture. Don't get freaked out by it. Play with it. Okay, you can add a little bit here, and while it's still wet. Okay, I want a little bit of shadows under this here. Wet onto wet. A little bit here. Just some quick drops of pigments and stuff. I am using my camera, Sony Alpha 6000, which is the one you are looking at right now. I am using my phone to look at the chat though, so that's how I see your message. A little bit of cool color and a smaller splash down here. I'm just making a mess because if you just look at the image right there, there's so much texture underneath, and I'm just trying to have a sense, have a little hint of that. I'll probably come back and glaze it to just give it a little bit more depth as well. How am I going live with the camera? That is a long story. So I have a capture card. It's pretty similar to a lot of streamer using. I have a capture card with a HDMI in, so I'm connecting my camera with that. And I have the software called OBS to do that for me. Get a string key from YouTube so I can do it live. Took me quite a while to get this set up. So I have another camera here that's similar to a GoPro. It's just dedicated for my palette, so you can see what I'm mixing right here. So yeah, quite a bit of work. I am actually quite proud of myself to make this setup, to get that extent of setup here. Thank you for asking. Nobody really asked me that question before. I think it's fun once in a while to kind of talk a little bit about technical stuff. So okay, I'm really just playing right now, and this is some fun stuff. Okay, I'm wondering if I can scratch some textures here. Okay. Okay, let me see if I can mix a little bit thicker mixtures. We'll see how that works out for me. Still pretty wet. I need to dry my brush a little bit on the cloth here. All right. Yeah, so see, I don't go back to the water again. I really need some dry mixtures because this is pretty wet, and I'm starting to want some more dark shapes here. Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I don't have nearly as much followers on Instagram than here, which is fine. I mean, like, followers, it's good to look at the number, but number is not what I'm really just chasing for. All right. Okay, let me step back a little bit. Okay, I think I got a little bit too much dark here. Let me wash that off a little bit. Just water. Okay, so some more light grass here, some more light grass here. Just water, and as I tilt it, they will just wash the paint off. Okay. Okay. Such a mess right now. A little bit of both. I mean, I know according to the reference, I need this to be a little bit lighter. But in terms of how exactly it's going to look, I don't really have that much control in mind. I just kind of let watercolor do its thing for me and kind of react to it. I think a lot of time when I'm doing, especially wet onto wet, there's a lot of time is you kind of work with watercolor, see what it's doing, and see how you can react to it. Do you want to add some more? Or you want to take something off? Okay. But I think this will do for now. Zoom back out. Okay, so that's what we have right now. Okay, just a little bit of textures here. I mean, I can work on this a little bit later. I've been focusing a lot on that, so I'm just picking up a little bit of dirty color and splash a little bit here. All right. Yep, it's just a lot of having fun playing with it. All right. Okay, that's Brisbane, Australia. Welcome. All right. Okay, so let's think about this a little bit. So we have this background tree that we kind of need to deal with. So let me see. I can, yeah, I'll just start with the background trees. Now it's a sunny day, so I'm not exactly going to make everything really soft and misty. But I do think we can break up the shape just a little bit. Alright, so grab some water here. I would just randomly I'll just wet it randomly. Okay, just the edge. Yeah, I do want some hard edges. And yeah, I know it's very dark, but I still kind of need to compensate that. And I do need to be mindful that if I make it too dark, it can look rather odd. So let me see if I can try to make it just a little bit lighter. So it's mostly blue and it's a little bit of cobalt turquoise, a little bit of burnt umber, mostly blue. Okay. Okay, so just creating a little bit of shape. Too much water on the brush. All right. So okay. Some little trees in the distance. As Bob Ross says, some happy little trees in the background here. A little plan. I mean, when I took the photo, I kind of have something in mind. Of course, this is not a usual subject that I paint, so I have no idea how it will turn out. So I hope this will work out. Okay, I have a little bit taller trees here, but like I try to be as delicate as I can when it comes to this evergreen trees, but at the same time I don't want to get too bogged down to how they look, so it can be a little bit. So this can be a little bit tricky at times when you have so many trees like that. Yes. I think this, for this painting, I mainly just gonna try to have fun instead of really trying to try really hard and get something that's looking really pretty. I'm just trying to kind of capture the essence of the feeling that I was there. I mean, this is on the way down from the resort. They have a stairway they call the 1,000 step down into the side of the river. And I think most people will just walk past by this thing and not really giving much attention because this is very typical thing. It's just a hillside with a bunch of trees. It's not that extraordinary, but this is what I like about this. There's a lot of interesting lighting quality in this, and I do want to somehow capture it, more or less, instead of always going for the obvious, beautiful lake, beautiful river. All right, so get some of that. Let me have a little bit of a yellow in this. A little bit of yellow here. Wow, it's still kind of moist. Okay, so as we calm down, we'll kind of stop here. Let me change a brush here. So let me have a little bit blue here. Okay, so tricky thing about this tree is that we'll have to paint around it. So let's see. We start to make a little bit darker mixture. Still keep it relatively cool. This is all in the shadow, and the shadow under the sun are mostly, kind of cool color. And I want to push the color a little bit, so it's quite blue here. Let me zoom it in a little bit, so hopefully you can see better. All right. Let me see if I can paint around and get that shape in. I'm kind of pressing my brush down like that so I get a little bit of a texture. And let me see if I can work with that. Okay. All right, I just create hundreds of leaves, which is excellent. Okay, but not keep dabbing, okay? I do want some bigger shapes and smaller shape kind of working with each other, so there we go. Okay. I think that works out rather well, so I do want some tree here as well. There's another tree here. Okay. So I think about the shape of the tree and I paint around it. This part is a little bit tricky. I actually never really done it before. I'm just really trying to use what I know. Get that nice cool shadow extend out into the distance like that. Okay, I think this is working more or less. We have some light trees down here as well, so I'll just alright. Zoom out a little bit. We'll give a little bit more definition to this tree a little bit later, but right now I'm just working on the silhouette of that. I'm really messing with my brush here. This brush is a little bit older, so I'm a little bit abusive to it. Yeah, I mean, practice always helps, but at the same time, I actually don't know if what I'm doing will work out. So, yeah, I'm crossing fingers, like mentally. And yeah, don't hold your breath on that as well. I am just unsure of this as much as you do, so I'm just pretend like I know what's going on. I actually don't. All right. We're gonna come back to do a little bit of glazing too. Now, let's continue this down. All right, so. Okay. So a little bit of like a neutral blue here. So this one down here. It's also casting some shadows to the tree here as well. I'm like painting the shadow, the shape of the shadow actually, rather than painting the tree. So this is kind of unnatural way to paint for me, because I usually paint the tree with darker shape. So, but right now I'm painting a huge shape of shadow, which is comes very weird right now. But again, we'll see how to work out. I want this to be a little bluer to really contrast the rest of the warm tone trees. Okay. Now I think I will mix like a tree color. Cobalt turquoise was yellow. We have some nice light green. I need to add some water to it. It's getting a little bit too dark here for the tree. I don't want it that dark. This is not good. It's like it's looking like I'm dabbing a lot. I'm really not. It's just a lot of little short strokes. Okay. Okay. Just splash some water. Everything feels really stuck now. Okay. Okay, now this part I'm going to see if I can give it a little bit of interesting textures so that it looks like the dry grass is kind of poking through like that. It is kind of sitting behind those dry grass, so it's kind of important that I that it feels that way. Green here. So just side of my brush, some quick stroke down, give it some of this textures. Bang, bang, bang. All right, somewhere here. All right, I can kind of seeing it now. Kind of, just kind of. I am still not entirely sure, but I can kind of see a painting taking form here. So let's just keep pressing on. It's a bunch of little loose rock and stuff, so let's see this. Help. Alright. Alright, so let's paint this huge tree right here. Now for that tree, I'm actually going to make that tree darker. I think I need a little bit of heavy elements to kind of give it some foreground. So actually make some, gonna add some neutral tint to it. But still I'm gonna keep it warm. Let's see if this will work. Alright. Alright, so I'm not going to paint too much, but okay, I need to be a little bit drier. It's a little bit too wet. I can't do dry brush with that. Leave some pockets of negative space so that it feels like these are a bunch of leaves. Here's a tree. Just the shape of it anyways. And I have a small window to actually add something to it. Okay, so make sure it's dry enough so you can actually add a little bit of dark into this, just to give it a little bit of variety of shape. So some tiny little refined shape here, a little bit here like this, kind of like leaves or something. Okay. Like little calligraphy of shapes. It's kind of like you are the conductor of this music. We got some heavy beat, but to connect those heavy melodies and rhythms. We need some light little notes to kind of just bring everything together. Splatter some water as well. Okay, I want more mixtures here. It's like I'm signing my name with this, but you get the point. Okay, darker down here. I got a quiet bunch as usual. You guys are making me nervous. Are you guys confused, or you guys just don't know what I'm doing, or you're just not sure what to say, or it's looking weird? You don't want to hurt my feeling. Ah, a little bit redder is fine. Thank you. Give me a little bit morale boost here. Alright, so again, this part, you don't want the paint to be too wet, otherwise you'll be hard to get those dry brush mark. That can really help you to get a sense of trees. And yeah, it's a block, Saunders Waterford. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can scratch some paint out just to give a little bit feeling of this branch and tree trunk. That. This start become quite abstract. I'm not really sure what I'm doing, but it's an interesting experience for sure. So a little bit of leaves here. What I'm hoping is as I define this tree a little bit more, things will kind of fall into place a little bit better. So let's see if I can do that here. Just Café watercolor. I have a fan brush. I don't like using it. I don't know, for some reason the marks just look really repetitive. Yeah, I don't know. For like material, I usually don't like to, how should I say, like get too many material for myself. I used to get other brushes and stuff, and I end up not using them because I keep forgetting I have them. So I always just go back to the usual stuff that I use. So it kind of end up like, yeah, I don't see the point. I'll just keep sticking with what I know it works. So not that I don't like other stuff. It's just that it just always feels like I'm takes more effort for me to adapt new material rather than really start to getting use of new things. So Café Watercolor, I believe so. I am not sure, but I mean, if you go hashtag Café Watercolor, you'll probably see a bunch of my paintings, because I kind of come up with that hashtag. So right, so we got some trees here now, a little bit more defined, which is nice. So this guy here. Okay. A bit of other red colors here. Okay, so I think I need to blow dry this so I can do another layer on top. Okay, let me mute the microphone. Alright, I'll look for you. And let's continue on. So looking at this right now, it's lacking a little bit more contrast. So I think while I don't want to make this tree too dark because they're in distant, I do need to start darken some of this to make this light tree really pops out. So I think we can do just another layer to really bring those value out. Alright, so I do think what I need to, before I forget again, I do need to give this a little bit of warmth here, a little pocket of light over here. Yeah, I do want to give it some warmth here, so this will be an important glaze here. I do want some light. I didn't do that in the first wash. Okay, I'll soften the edge here. I didn't do that in the first wash, so I need to make sure I do that now. But I'll start from here. I need to start darken some of the stuff, otherwise it's not going to read that well. So yep, some nice dark help the tree to really pop out. This negative shapes, pain in the butt. I don't know why I choose to do this. This will be a much easier painting if I'm painting in oil, but I don't have oil anymore, so oops. I am using Daniel Smith mostly. I have a few tube of Mission Gold. They also make very nice paint too. Okay. Gonna connect a little bit dark, warm down here. Using a little bit harder brush, I want to define this a little bit. So let me get some trees actually a tiny bit darker so they can connect a little bit better. There we go. Okay, I'm going to start a little bit random wet again. Okay, so yeah, that's another thing I haven't really tried that many brand of paint. Yeah, I am not a person with a huge research spirit. I kind of just stick with what work. And being in the Seattle area, Daniel Smith is, it's local, so that's why I use it. And I'm just going to be honest with you because I gave a few demos there, so they gave me quite a bit of store credit for me to spend in their store, so I just use a lot of store credit to buy the paint. They've been pretty generous with me. So while I am not going to say that I'm affiliated with them, I'm not going to say that's the best paint in the world. That is most of the paint that I use because they do give me a bunch of paint. So yeah, I'm really grateful. They're pretty nice to me. These three back here, I'm just gonna leave them abstract. Not going to spend too much time on it. A little bit of orange there. Oh, I just keep bringing this wash down and give that glaze again. Okay, the brush work. Get that bush. Little bush, little grass. I should zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. So what I'm basically doing is to just use the dry brush to give it some sense of grass and textures here. So now we got some grass and bushes and things like that. Yes, Eric is my name. Eric Lin. Right, so look at that. That kind of looked like some dry grass standing tall, covering the ground. Hopefully. And all right, I don't want to overwork the tree. Oops, sorry, bumping to the microphone. I don't want to overwork the tree, but I do think it needs a little bit more detail than the rest of the stuff, just so that we can kind of find a focus in this painting. Because everything has been so loose and so kind of out in the mess. So I do want to have a little bit more details so that people can kind of find their anchor on when they're looking at this painting. So a little bit of shadows here. Thank you for finding me. And thank you for following me on Instagram. Okay, so it has a really big too dark behind the tree. So this is the part that I'm starting to really trying to get some nice shape for the tree. I try anyways. Okay. So let me scratch out some of this thick pigment to get some of the light back. Just with my fingernail, so I'll probably have to palette knife works too. A little bit of light here. All right. So yeah. Okay, this turned out to be probably like a very boring painting to watch because it's a lot of tiny little strokes. I haven't do a huge wash that looks pretty interesting and stuff. But thanks for hanging out anyways. Alright, let's bring that texture down. Okay, I do like how this goes out, so I'm not going to completely get rid of that. But I do think the tree looks a little bit better now. Okay, so some warmer green warmer red underneath. To kind of blending to the rest of the shadow here. And then we'll come out with this. And I think this is plenty of dry. Actually, let me use a bigger brush. Okay, I need a little bit more saturated blue, and I am just going to do that. I'll glaze over this shadow shape again. And I'll bring this down and really just connect with the rest of it. Okay, so I'll connect the shape as much as possible so you don't have little pockets of shape. It's with a lot of brush stroke. All right. I think we are rapidly approaching the end here. I actually quite enjoy this painting. I think it's just once in a while it's interesting to work something a little bit different from what I usually do. It's a painting with no figure, no building, just trees and grass. Just happy trees and happy grass. I do hope you guys enjoy this as well. It's definitely very different from most of the stuff that I've been working on. It's nice to have fun just once in a while, and a little bit of challenge to myself as well. Oh, thanks. I haven't painted figure for quite a while. Most of the recently I've been doing a lot of figure works with iPad and Procreate. Okay, so I think this is already a lot of work, so I'm going to try to just kind of let it be, and let's see if there's any more I can work on the foreground, which is there shouldn't be that much work because I do like how this kind of golden grass kind of just go in there, but we need to add just a little bit of depth here, so I'm going to glaze over this part and let's see how it'll work out for me. Okay, and we are going to end this very, very soon. So nice chunk of water. Oh, I am using the brush that's way too small for the job. Change to a bigger one. Okay. I'll use a little bit of alizarin crimson just to make it a little bit hotter and darker. And just clean water. I will soften that. I'll soften this like that. So I need to keep maintaining that texture here, but just darken the bottom part. So this gives me another opportunity to kind of just play around with it. So now this kind of gives me a little bit more of like a layering effect right here. Okay, so the bees all gathered down here. I'm gonna rotate my painting just a little bit. Sorry for my hand. Okay. A bit splash of water, a little spray. Okay, that bead is... I'm going to get rid of that too much bead here. bit more water, wash stuff off. Okay, let me zoom all the way out and see the painting as a whole. Alright, I think I'm pretty much done. I make it a little bit too dark than I want it to be, so I'm gonna see if I can use some opaque paint and paint some of the light back, which is not really the ideal way, but sometimes you don't have any other choice. So well, thanks for liking the setup. This is how I show demo in the class. When I'm having demos and stuff, this is how I set up for a class demo. I think most of the time it works out pretty well. Alright. I'm gonna add a little bit of gouache, see if this can just bring a little bit of light back. Yeah, I think this helps a little bit. Like mainly I don't really want to do like opaque watercolor. Start to feel like a gouache painting. But in this case, I do think I need a little bit of that. Okay, yeah, I'm standing, so which means I'm kind of tired now. All right, anybody have anything? I see I'm gonna end this live stream here right now. Anybody have any questions or anything you guys want to talk about before I sign off? I think there's still things to like about this painting. Definitely, I actually quite like the light and the dark. Means kind of unusual that I paint things like this. Just really paint with a lot of negative space like that. But I think it is a good challenge for me. Like my favorite part is definitely the dry grass here, the dry haze here. Definitely have that texture here. Yeah, I feel I might darken the tree a little bit too much, so I'm trying to kind of get back a little bit of light to it, which can be a little bit hard because it's mostly dry. But, and I don't like to do scrubbing. It leaves a really messy texture here. But yeah, got some of the light back. Overwork. Never a good thing that I try to paint too much, but kind of rescue that a little bit. So when I stare at that tree, I start to see all sorts of value, and I forgot the whole relationship between the light tree and the background. Well, luckily it's not so dry. I can still add some water and pick up some of the paint. It looks like Keiko Tanabe's style. I actually don't know what style she is, but she's definitely from the root of Alvaro and some Joseph Zbukvic, which, you know, I think most of watercolor artists, including me, have some sort of fun with their painting. And the only workshop I took is Joseph's workshop. So, and like I think I mentioned it before, he's like the reason that I get into watercolor, because I really like it. And my day job as a digital artist, I really want to start to do something more traditional on the side, and without a lot of keep staring at the computers and doing something digital. I mean, digital works are fine, but I just kind of want something a little bit different. So that's why I got into watercolor. I did take the photo, yes, while I was hiking down. So I just take a photo on the side. This is actually, again, this is actually a very, 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 like, typical view. You know, it's nothing spectacular. It's just like a view on the side. But I really like the light of this scenery. That's why I decided to paint this one. You know, it's like a nice little sketch for me, I think. Be quite interesting. Yeah, because I mean I did take the photo of the rivers and the things like that, you know, things that most people are usually drawn to a little bit more. And when I take a photo of the river with a nice reflection and everything, and automatically people think that's the good painting subject. But I do want to paint something that people usually tend to ignore because they're very typical. Kind of like this. I think what makes this scenery attractive to me is not really because of the anything specific. It's just the lighting. And during that time, I just like the lighting and how the shadow kind of cut across the tree, and with that dry haze in the foreground, bring that depth. Not because of a specific location or something there that just really makes me want to paint. It's just the I don't know. It's just the timing and the lighting makes me really like this. I am running a course right now, and the enrollment's closed. So unfortunately, I'm not able to add any more students, but I'll keep you in the loop and I'll definitely announce it here. But in the meanwhile, I will do sort of live demo like this once in a while I am still available. Because I paint the way I think of is I paint anyways. So if while I'm painting, I can kind of do live stream, people can enjoy what I do, and I can also find some companies here. I think that was great. I think talking to people while doing it kind of helps me relax a little bit. I mean, there's certain paintings I definitely kind of want to keep the process to myself, not because I don't want to share it, but I probably prefer to be alone for some of the painting. But I think for this, it's really fun to have some people around and just talk. I don't know, I'm kind of just mumbling right now. Just feel this part needs to be a little bit darker. So I don't know. I'm kind of overworked. I'm kind of just looking for trouble now. So I think I'm going to end this in a minute before I start to overwork everything. This is still weird bead here. I'm going to dab that out. hope you guys have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are. Hi. Yeah, Chrissy, I know it's a little bit more unusual because usually it's from light to dark, but I have light and then I work on the dark. So in the dark are mostly negative. So because in watercolor most of the time the darker areas are usually the positive space, like the tree here. But in this case I have to paint around all of the elements here, so it starts to feel very different. Yeah, but I do like this, at least the process of it. All right, okay, I'm going to sign off, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, night, wherever you are. I will see you guys again very soon.